The topic that I have to present today is an insight into the national education policy. Some people call it as new education policy. Actually, it is National Education Policy 2020 or 2020. Before getting into the details of NEP, its various ramifications, let me invite your attention to another situation. I was recalling my childhood. When I was 3 years old or 4 years old, even 5 years old, I was taken to school by my mom because I have a younger sister. So my mother was a teacher. So looking after the two at home was very difficult. So I was taken away from home, keeping my sister alone at home for the grandparents. So I was always going to school at the age of 4 years. At that time, I had lot of friends of my age. And you also might have seen such boys wearing very shabby shirts, partially muddy, buttons are not put in the correct order, with a khaki trouser, and keeping a slate or slate only, not notebook of that time, slate, and putting this, dropping the liquid from the nose, and the pocket will be larger so that it will come outside the trouser. We used to play cashew nuts, or what you call andi kalikayirunnu cherupathile. So these andis were kept in the pocket, and the pocket usually comes out. ഇങ്ങനെയുള്ള രൂപം നിങ്ങളൊന്ന് ആലോചിച്ച് നോക്കുക. Can you imagine such a boy going to school? Both the parents are casual laborers. Nobody to attend him or her. He completes the primary education likewise. Then he is forced to send to upper primary, then higher secondary. When he reaches higher secondary level, then there were so many students, his friends, we can't say friends, so many students in the class who were of different background, who were coming from different background. And this boy finds extremely difficult to cope up with this elite class boy. So what does he do? He will sit sometime, he will go to schools 1 year or 2 years, then he will drop out. Normally he will drop out. This is a common phenomenon in North India, not in Kerala sometimes, but outside Kerala, this is a very common scene you can see. There are so many students or children, kids, just like stray dogs, wandering in the streets, helping their parents sometimes, never attending to school. So this dropout proportion is very high in India. We can't imagine. It is very high in India. Whereas your kids are sent to posh schools, given all kinds of modern education, wearing tie, a shoe, etc. Very modest dress, with all bags, colorful bags and all, and they also go to school. And these two class of students sitting in the class, they are not a homogeneous group. They find extremely difficult to cope up. Therefore, the first one will tend to drop out from the mainstream. There are 140 plus crores of people in India now. 140 plus crore people in India and 444 millions of students in India. And the gross enrollment ratio, sir in the morning session mentioned that term, gross enrollment ratio, it is around 26%. That means what? That means 74% of students, children are dropouts from higher secondary, or they won't reach even higher secondary. Upper primary, even at upper primary stage, they will drop out. And to make matters worse, for convenience, what the parents do, they will send the kids to the Anganwadis, right? They will send the children to Anganwadis. Those who can't afford to send them to English medium, high posh schools, those kids are sent to Anganwadis. And what is happening in Anganwadis? Nutrition program is there, health program is there, and along with that some education program is there. And very often education is forgotten there, not given as it is expected. Therefore, our Anganwadi products are competing with the posh preschool, play school level students, and they always find lagging behind, and they will think of dropping out. So that's a very, very unfortunate situation prevailing in India. Therefore, this has to be rectified. So government thought some means of bridging this divide. We can say this is a kind of digital divide or economic divide. What we have to do? One aspect. Another thing is, do you know when was the last education policy formulated? Anybody knows? No, I was requested while I was taking lunch. Some of my friends suggested, sir, you please ask questions so that we won't sleep. Okay. What was the last education policy came into existence? Anybody can tell me? It was in 1986. The last education policy came into existence in 1986. And after 34 long years, the new education policy came into existence. And the state governments across the country, they are very hesitant to accept the policy. Even today in Malayalam Manorama paper, there is high criticism against NEP 2020. And the criticism, the critics are well-known educationalists like M.K. Sanusar and all. So they are criticizing NEP 2020. They are not ready to accept the NEP 2020 in full form. So, but some states, the first state was Karnataka state, they accepted it and they implemented NEP 2020. And slowly, in Kerala government also, they are talking about introducing 4 years degree program, right? In newspaper we read. So after 34 years of gap, new education policy came, 2020. I just recall, I request your attention to this 34-year period and how much changes might have occurred. In 1986, while I entered into the wedlock, my marriage was in 1986, there was no mobile phone. There was no mobile phone, there was no computer, there was no internet, just like the land phone. And if me and my wife wanted to talk, what was the only method? Just land phone, that's all, or writing letters. So the previous policy was implemented at that period, a dark period. And after 34 years, or during these 34 years of span, lot of changes have happened. rapid explosion of knowledge has happened. Lot of changes, sea changes have occurred during these 34 years. Now what will happen after the next 10 years, we can't predict, because it is not linear. The growth or the change is non-linear. We can't predict as such. Therefore, the significance or the relevance of this NEP 2020 is very, very high. That's what I wanted to convince you. Because during the last 34 years, nothing has happened. In 1992, some modification came into existence, but did not continue that. So this is a brief background of the National Education Policy 2020, which was formulated after a long deliberations. Say 5 years of deliberations were necessary to finalize this NEP 2020. So shall we get into that? Are you with me, all of you, or sleeping? No, okay. This is what I just mentioned. The first policy for education was promulgated in 1968 based on the recommendations of the Kothari Commission. Then the second national policy of education, that was known as NPE, not NEP, but NPE. NPE was implemented in 1986, which called for realizing compulsory education for every child until the age of 14, as mentioned in the Indian Constitution. It also aimed at providing enhanced training and improving teachers' qualifications. It was further modified in 1992. And the two buzzwords at that time were equity and access. Those were the buzzwords in 1986 education policy. Okay? Equity and access. The third national education policy was approved by the Union Cabinet of India on 29th July 2020. 29th July 2020, which replaces the National Policy of Education of 1986. What is the thrust of the present NEP? Access to quality education. The thrust is not access and equity, rather access to quality education. So the term quality came along with this new education policy. Quality. This is the making of that policy. I am not taking it. And NEP 2020 envisages education. What is education actually? This national education policy, we should know what is education as envisaged in NEP. What is that? What is education? Tell me. It is written, very well written there. The purpose of education system is to develop good human beings capable of rational thought and action, possessing compassion and empathy, courage and resilience, scientific temper, and creative imagination with the sound ethical moorings and values. This is what is written in NEP 2020 as the purpose of education. It aims at producing engaged, productive, and contributing citizens for building an equitable, inclusive, and plural society as envisaged by our Constitution. In the Constitution, it is envisaged. So likewise, we have to reach at that particular status. That is the aims of education as per NEP 2020. Okay. When we look at the NEP 2020, it consists of around 65 pages. The whole policy document, it runs in 65 pages, and there are 4 parts. Number 1, school education. Number 2, higher education. And number 3, other key areas of focus. And number 4, making it happen. Anyway, we will be touching upon the first 2. The 3 and 4 we will leave. Okay. All right. So we come to the school education. What are the changes envisioned in NEP 2020? Let us see. See, the second blocks is the new one. new academic structure. Earlier 10 plus 2 system was there. 10 plus 1 plus 2, right? And the new academic structure is in 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 mode. 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. What is 5? The 5 years foundational stage, it is called foundational stage. See, from 3 years to 8 years, up to 8 years. That is Anganwadi, preschool, students of 3 to 6 age will go there, and from there class 1 and class 2, ages 6 to 8. So this component will be known as the foundational stage. 5 years they have to be in the foundational stage. Okay. Then comes the preparatory stage, 3 years. 3 years they will play, they will discover, and activity based and interactive classroom learning. Such things will happen in the preparatory stage. That is class 3 to 5. Age 8 to 11. Then comes secondary stage. Secondary stage for 3 years. Multidisciplinary study, greater critical thinking, flexibility and student choice of subjects. These are the main features of secondary stage. And the 4 years, the top 4 years, class 9 to 12, at the age of 14 to 18. New pedagogical, that is the secondary stage, where the students will be subjected to multidisciplinary study and greater critical thinking, flexibility and student choice of subjects. So this is a new pattern of academic structure for school education. So you have children, right? You have, all of you might have children, and your children are about to go to school. Some are only 2-3 years old. So you are about to go to school. Your children will be following this pattern. Please remember that. Your children will be following this pattern. And there won't be any Anganwadis anymore. All those Anganwadis will be converted to play schools, governed by government, not taught by just Anganwadis who are not qualified. These Anganwadis are going to be adopted as preschools and play schools by the government, and they will be looking after this. And there is no special elite schools, like very famous elite schools with receiving high fees and all. Such things will not be there. All students, no matter you come from a elite family, rich family or poor family, all kids have to go to preschool and play school run by the government. So these Anganwadis are going to be converted to these government play schools and preschools. Okay, and they will be spending 5 years there. 3 years plus 2 years, 5 years there, and it is called foundational level, foundational stage. So a student of age 3 years old will get into the education, then goes up to what age? 18 years. So 3 to 18 years, the span of government support will be from 3 to 18 years. Therefore, accordingly, there is a right to education. You know that? Right to education. The right to education has now changed. The right to education is for from 3 years to 18 years. Earlier it is not only 14 years, right? Now it is till 18 years. So it is mandatory that every student or every boy or girl has to send to school, preschool, then up to secondary school till 18 years. In US and all it is like that, right? In the US, if anybody has gone to US, then the education system is like this. They have free education till 18 years. Till 18 years. Similarly here also, in the coming years, your children, your kids will be benefited by this particular policy document, you can send your children free of cost till 18 years. No fees is required. It is government supported. Okay. That's a drastic change that we are going to have. This is the foundational stage. I will be concentrating a little bit of foundational stage in detail. The foundational stage, this is the early childhood education. It is called early childhood education. Why we are allowing our children to go to school at the age of 3? What is the relevance of? Is it justifiable? What is your opinion? 3 വയസ്സായപ്പോഴേക്കും സ്കൂളിലേക്ക് വിടുന്നത് നല്ലതാണോ? നല്ലതാണ്. എന്താ കാരണം? പറയാമോ എന്തുകൊണ്ടായി? വീട്ടിലെ ശല്യം മാറ്റാനാണോ? അല്ല. എന്തുകൊണ്ടാണ് കുട്ടികളെ, why you are sending your kids? Anyway, you can't afford to keep them at home after this NEP. We are forced to send our kids to the preschool or play school or Anganwadis at the age of 3. Why? ചെറുപ്പം മുതലേ ചുട്ടയിലെ ശീലം ചുടല വരെ, അതാണോ? അവരുടെ പിയർ ഗ്രൂപ്പ്സ്, അത് 6 വയസ്സായാലും പിയർ ഗ്രൂപ്പ്സ് ഉണ്ടാവില്ലേ? പറയാമോ ആർക്കെങ്കിലും എന്തുകൊണ്ടായി 3 വയസ്സിൽ തന്നെ നിങ്ങൾ വിടണേ? കുറച്ച് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് പോരെ? There is a scientific reason for that. ഒരു വ്യക്തിയുടെ cognitive growth, neural networks will be more sharp at this tender age. ഈ കുഞ്ഞു മനസ്സിൽ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഈ 3 വയസ്സ് പ്രായമുള്ളപ്പോൾ മുതലാണ്, 3 മുതൽ 6 വയസ്സ് വരെയുള്ള സമയത്താണ് കുട്ടികളുടെ ന്യൂറൽ നെറ്റ്വർക്ക്സ് ഏറ്റവും ഡെൻസ് ആയിട്ടുള്ളത്. അതുകൊണ്ട് ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് സയൻറ്റിഫിക്കലി പ്രൂവ്ഡ്. അതുകൊണ്ട് ആണ് നമ്മൾ പറയില്ലേ ഒരു കുട്ടിയുടെ സ്വഭാവ രൂപീകരണമൊക്കെ ഏതാണ്ട് ഈ 6 വയസ്സുള്ളിൽ വരുന്നു പറയില്ലേ നമ്മൾ. അതാണ് കാരണം. അതാണ് ഈ നെറ്റ്വർക്ക്സ്, ന്യൂറൽ നെറ്റ്വർക്ക്സ്, ആർട്ടിഫിഷ്യൽ ഇൻ്റലിജൻസ് ആൻഡ് ന്യൂറൽ നെറ്റ്വർക്ക് ഒക്കെ അറിയാവുന്നവർക്ക് അറിയാം ഈ ന്യൂറൽ നെറ്റ്വർക്ക് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് എന്താണ്. നമ്മുടെ ബ്രെയിനിൽ ഒരുപാട് ന്യൂറൽ നെറ്റ്വർക്ക്സ് ഉണ്ട്. ഈ ന്യൂറൽ നെറ്റ്വർക്ക്സ് മാക്സിമം ഡെവലപ്ഡ് ആവുന്നതും മാക്സിമം കണക്ഷൻ ആകുന്നതും നമുക്കറിയാമോ. നമ്മളെങ്ങനെ പഠിക്കുന്ന ഒരു കാര്യം, ഹൗ ഡു വി സ്റ്റഡി തിങ്സ്? We have something in our head, right? That something will be related to the new thing. A connection is made between what we have in our head to the other thing. Then that will be absorbed or assimilated. Am I right? Do you agree? Sleeping? No. Okay. So that is why this has been found out and realized. That's why the new education policy is implemented accordingly. So if your child is 3 years old, you have to send him to the foundational level classes. Okay, these are the things happening there in the childhood learning. These are the formative years happening. What are the things happening? Developing curiosity, teamwork and collaboration, as you said, logical thinking and problem solving, play-based discovery-based learning, play-based and discovery-based learning, ethics, self-identity, relationship with nature, colors, shapes, alphabets and numbers. ഇങ്ങനെയുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങളെ പറ്റിയുള്ള ഒരു അവബോധം, നോ ഹൗ ഈ കുട്ടികളിൽ ആ ചെറുപ്പത്തിലേ ഉണ്ടാവും. If that is not achieved by any student, and if that boy or girl goes to class 8, he is studying in class 8 and he is scoring very high marks, but he is not able to read or to calculate or to do the minimum arithmetic because he is not capable of that. But after this NEP 2020, it won't be the case. They will be empowered in these areas. Okay, right. This I just leave. This also I leave. I'm not going to talk more, right? See, this is another main target of the NEP 2020. We have to get maximum foundational literacy and numeracy. This is one of the aims of NEP 2020. That is, special attention is given to maximize foundational literacy and numeracy. Now you can see your small kids of 2 years or 3 years, he is very, very comfortable with the mobile phone, which we don't know. Why? Because of this talent, that potential he has, the dormant abilities there in the kid. That's why he's doing that. Okay. Then, power of language and multilingualism. Okay, I will leave. This also I will leave. Now, I told you the foundational stage, right? From 3 to 8 years, the foundational stage. Last year, to be very precise, in October 2022, last October, the ministry has published a national curriculum framework for foundation stage. It runs in 365 pages and it is being implemented in the country. That is, we have to address the foundation stage first, right? So they have developed, they have formulated, they have framed a national curriculum framework for foundational stage. Let us see one by one what are the important things in this foundational stage curriculum. The aims and objectives of this, what is NCF? National Curriculum Framework. National Curriculum Framework, NCF. This NCF aims to build a curriculum framework for the foundational stage that realizes the goals of NEP 2020. Now in NEP 2020, these foundational things are already envisaged. According to that given in the NEP 2020, these new things are developed to help in positively transforming the school education system in India through corresponding positive changes in the curriculum, including pedagogy. It aims to help change practices in education. So many things are addressed in the foundational stage, that national curriculum of foundational stage. Now, what is curriculum? What do you mean by curriculum? All this, all of you may be knowing the meaning of curriculum. We are always using it very frequently. Curriculum refers to the entirety of the organized experience of students in any institutional setting towards educational aims and objectives. That is curriculum. Curriculum is not syllabus, you know, right? You may be knowing it. Curriculum is not only syllabus, it is something more. So what is curriculum? Curriculum refers to the entirety of the organized experience of students in any institutional setting towards educational aims and objectives. Okay. Now NCF is based on 3 guiding principles. NCF is based on 3 guiding principles. 1, multidisciplinary and holistic education. Multidisciplinary and holistic education. Now earlier, you know, I'm a mathematics student and statistics also was there, and students of, or when teachers of mathematics and teachers of statistics, they won't talk each other. There is a well-known enmity between mathematics and statistics, economics and history. They won't, because both are watertight compartments, not interlinked. But nowadays that barrier has been taken away. All are multidisciplinary type of education they are promoting. And not only that, what are curricular activities? What are co-curricular activities? What are extracurricular activities? After the advent of NEP 2020, there is no difference between these 3 classes. Everything is same. There is no difference between curricular activities and co-curricular activities. All are same. So multidisciplinarity is promoted in the new education policy. Okay. Emphasize on critical and analytic thinking. The children at the age of 3 to 8, they should be practiced to critical and analytic thinking. Then 3, the guiding principle 3, transitioning into a new curricular and pedagogical structure. There is a transition envisaged in the NCF, National Curriculum Framework. And these are the key highlights. These are the key highlights of NCF foundation stage. Number 1, learning through play. These kids are directed to learn through playing. What are the types of play? Free play. Guided play. Then structured play. These are the 3 types of play they are envisaging. And students in this particular age group, they have to learn things by this playing. Okay. Number 2, development domains. Which are the domains they are addressing? The developmental domains are physical development, socio-emotional and ethical development, cognitive development, language and literacy development, aesthetic and cultural development. These are the developmental domains envisaged in the NCF, National Curriculum Framework. 3, planning for teaching. There are 5-step learning process: introduction, conceptual understanding, practice, application, expansion. 4, choosing content. These are all things very well explained in this NCF. I am not explaining all these things. These are simply the captions. Okay. Content to be aligned with the competencies and learning outcomes. Oh, new terminologies are there, very much familiar to you. What are the learning outcomes? Course outcomes, program outcomes. There are so many outcomes, right? These kids at the age of 3 to 8 will be exposed to such learning outcomes, such competencies. What are the competencies required for a doctor? What are the competencies required of a teacher? Likewise. So let us see what are the competencies. These are the competencies. NCF encompasses competencies and learning outcomes. Competencies are learning achievements that are observable and can be assessed systematically. I will ask a question after these points. You have to answer me, okay? Number 2, these competencies are derived from the curricular goals and are expected to be attained at the end of the stage. Attained at the end of the stage. That attained is a keyword. Then competencies are articulated in curriculum framework. Articulation metrics. Then, however, curriculum developers can adapt and modify the competencies to address specific contexts for which the curriculum is being developed. The following are examples of some of the competencies derived for the above curricular goal in this NCF. Converse fluently and can hold meaningful conversation. Understands oral instructions for a complex task and gives clear oral instructions for some same to others. These are some competencies. So while you read these competencies, you will be tempted to recall certain things that you are familiar with. What are they? What is that? Certain competencies that we are envisaging in OBE. What are they? OBE, all of you know, right? Outcome-based education. I think, how many of you know outcome-based education? Most of you. So what are the competencies that we are promising in the OBE context? Tell me. Come on. No. What are the competencies that we are assuring or ensuring after the completion of the program? What is that? No. Toto. program outcomes. They are the program outcomes. And this program outcomes attainment has to be measured, computed. So these program outcomes are included in a different manner, that's all. Actually, the roots are from OBE. Okay. And what are the learning outcomes? What are the learning outcomes? Competencies are attained over a period of time. Therefore, interim markers of learning achievements are needed so that teachers can observe and track learning and respond to the needs of learners continually. These interim markers are learning outcomes. So, learning outcomes are bitwise markers, right? What are they in our context, OBE context? Next one, learning outcomes are granular milestones of learning and usually progress in a sequence leading to attainment of competency. Competency attain ചെയ്യാനായിട്ടുള്ള കൊച്ചു granular സാധനങ്ങളാണ് learning outcomes. എന്താ നമ്മുടെ കോണ്ടെക്സ്റ്റിലെ course outcomes, exactly, course outcomes. Okay, learning outcomes are just like course outcomes. So the idea of course outcomes is given in a secret way in NEP. Okay. Learning outcomes enable teachers to plan their content, pedagogy and assessment towards achieving specific competencies. Curriculum developers and teachers should have the autonomy to define learning outcomes as appropriate to their classroom context while maintaining connection to the competencies. Connection to the competencies is just like mapping, COPO mapping. Okay. I can see so many eyes are about to close. You are struggling to be awake. Am I right? Are you with me, all of you? Yes. Then another key point in the NCF is organizing content, story-based approach, project-based approach, theme-based approach, setting up of environment, strategies of literacy and numeracy. And for literacy, oral language development, word recognition, reading, writing, teaching learning materials, leveraging technology, assessment for furthering learning outcomes. These are all 10 points spelled out in the NCF FS. What is NCF? National Curriculum Framework, Foundation Stage. Okay, right, we come back. So this is all about the school education. So what are the changes? What have you understood now? What are the changes that we are going to have immediately, in the immediate future, while we send our kids to school? At the age of 3, he can't sit at home. He should be sent to school. What school? Which school? English medium school? No. School directed by the government. It is yet to come in Kerala, but in other states they have already introduced. Crores of rupees are demarcated for this purpose. And these Anganwadis teachers are given special training. The graduates, those who are qualified, are given lot of intensive training to take this one. So our children tomorrow are going to these preschools designed by the government. So then, till what age they will be there in the play school? I mean, the foundation stage, at the age of 8. Then, 2nd class vare, 3rd class evada cherkum. And this is a continuum. When I read the literature of NEP 2020, it is very well written there. The entire NEP 2020 is not fragmented. It is a continuum. From 3 years to research level, it is a continuum. Okay, so we are giving our child for education and we are admitting him in an Anganwadi and he will go up to PhD. It's a continuous process. Okay, so then at the age of 18, he will be passing out the secondary level. Okay, at the age of 18. And this period of education, it is free. Government will support. government will support. And if at all there is any private school and offering all these things just like our private schools nowadays, the fee will be fixed by the government. There is a fee cap. We can't receive any fee as we like. It will be fixed by the government. There is a fee cap. And if anybody receives more fee, then his license will be cancelled. Okay. So that is what we are going to have in school education. And after school education, what will happen? At the age of 18, he will be passing out from the school and he will be joining higher education. He is joining for higher education. And by 18 years of age, he will be matured enough to select his area. So he will be joining. And if this system is properly implemented in the country, the whole country, now I told you only 26% is the gross enrollment ratio. And by 2030, they are expecting gross ratio 50%. So 50% of our students, children, they will be completing this 18 years education. Nobody will be dropping out. So the dropout will be very, very minimal and almost nil. And they will continue their studies till 18 years. Okay. Then we come to higher education, which is more applicable to us. What are the major problems currently faced by the higher education system? These are some of the major problems that I have identified. You can disagree with me or you can add your own problems. Severely fragmented higher education ecosystem. Severely fragmented. Less emphasis on the development of cognitive skills and learning outcomes. ഇപ്പോഴാണ് കേട്ടു തുടങ്ങിയിട്ടുള്ളൂ അതല്ലേ? ഇത്രയും വർഷമൊന്നും കേട്ടിട്ടില്ല. ഇപ്പോഴാണ് ഈ കേൾക്കണത് എന്ത്? Cognitive domain, psychomotor domain, affective domain എന്നൊക്കെ കേൾക്കണം ഇപ്പോഴാണ്. ഇതിനു മുമ്പൊന്നും കേട്ടില്ല. Knowledge domain, skill domain, attitude domain ഇതൊക്കെ കേൾക്കുന്ന ഇപ്പോഴാണ്. സോ ഇപ്പം നമ്മൾ കേട്ടു തുടങ്ങിയതൊക്കെ കുറച്ചൊക്കെ. So less emphasis on development of cognitive skills and learning outcomes, rigid separation of disciplines with early specialization and streaming of students into narrow areas of study. ഞാൻ ആദ്യം പറഞ്ഞ. Then limited access particularly in socio-economically disadvantaged areas with a few higher education institutions that teach in local language. That is also known as one of the drawbacks of NEP 2020. Till the 6th class, the classes should be taught in vernacular, in their mother tongue. If necessary, mother tongue. It's not compulsory, but it is better to teach them in mother tongue till the age of 8. നമ്മൾ സ്വപ്നം കാണുന്നത് ഇംഗ്ലീഷിലാണോ മലയാളത്തിലാണോ എനിക്കറിയില്ല. നമ്മുടെ മദർ ടങ്ങിലായിരിക്കും മിക്കവാറും സ്വപ്നം കാണുന്നത്. സോ കുട്ടികൾ ചിന്തിക്കുന്നത് പലപ്പോഴും മദർ ടങ്ങിലായിരിക്കാം. അതുകൊണ്ട് അത് മാത്രമല്ല, ഇപ്പോൾ ഒരു ക്ലസ്റ്റർ ഓഫ് വില്ലേജ്, ഒരു വില്ലേജിൽ അവിടെ കുറേ കുട്ടികളുണ്ട്. നമ്മൾ കാണുന്ന പോലെ സിറ്റി കോളേജോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ സ്കൂളോ അല്ല. ഒരു ചെറിയ ഗ്രാമത്തിൽ അവിടെ ഈ പറഞ്ഞ ഇംഗ്ലീഷൊന്നും ആവശ്യമൊന്നുമില്ല. അവിടെ അവരുടെ മദർ ടങ്ങിലാണ് കാര്യങ്ങളൊക്കെ അറിയേണ്ടത്. ആ കൊച്ചു ഗ്രാമത്തിൽ അവിടെ തന്നെ ജീവിക്കാൻ ഉദ്ദേശിക്കുന്നവർ അവിടെ തന്നെ വിദ്യാഭ്യാസം ആവശ്യമുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് ഓൾവേസ് ബെറ്റർ ടു ഹാവ് ദിസ് എഡ്യൂക്കേഷൻ ദെയർ മദർ ടങ്. സോ ഇൻ സച്ച് സിറ്റുവേഷൻസ് മദർ ടങ് ക്യാൻ ബി യൂസ്ഡ്. Whereas if you are aspiring for going abroad and English education and all, you can get schools with English medium. Okay. Then lesser emphasis on research at most universities and colleges and lack of competitive peer-reviewed research funding across disciplines, suboptimal governance and leaderships of higher education institutions, and ineffective regulatory system, and large affiliating universities resulting in low standards of undergraduate education. Now, if I want to apply for a project funding from some government agencies, it's a huge task. It has to go to the university first, then from university to the government, then the MHRD, the central ministry. It's a Herculean task to to get my project approved. Lot of things are there, but that's a problem in the faced by all of us nowadays. I haven't listed that. Okay. So what are the major reforms in higher education according to NEP 2020? First one, academic reforms, institutional reforms, governance reforms, new addition and changes, use of technology. Let us take one by one. Academic structure. What are the reforms in the academic structure? You might have read that in the newspaper or you have heard in the morning. Holistic and multidisciplinary education and flexibility of subjects. Holistic development of students and multidisciplinary education, flexibility of subjects. Means I am studying economics. I can also learn medicine. I am studying history. I can learn mathematics also. I am learning computer science. I can learn music also. I can learn commerce also. So that multidisciplinarity is very much there. Revamping curriculum, pedagogy, assessment and student support for enhanced student experience. Next academic structure is UG program 3 to 4 years with multiple entry and exit. You know that, right? You have heard about it. Multiple entry and exit. Suppose I joined for a program, degree program. I studied 1 year. Then if I successfully complete 1 year, I will be given a certificate. And if I complete 2 years, then I will be getting a diploma, and 3 years degree, and 4 years then degree with research. So suppose I feel that after 1 year I don't want to continue my studies. I have some other exigencies at home. My parents have become ill, or due to financial crisis, I am not able to continue my studies. I want to go for work. So you can discontinue your studies and exit from the course, from the program, and you can join somewhere else. If you don't want to join in the same institution, you can carry your credits and go to some other institution and complete there. Such a provision is there in NEP 2020 in the higher education. Okay. Certificate after completing 1 year, diploma after 2 years, bachelor's degree after 3 years, and multidisciplinary degree, or like BA honors, something like that, BA honors or BSc honors, 4 years. Okay. Then PG program, master's level PhD. There will be 2-year master's program with the second year completely devoted to research for those who have completed 3 years of bachelor's program. For students completing 4 years bachelor's program with research, there could be 1-year master's program. There may be an integrated 5-year bachelor's master's program. So these are all new modifications envisaged in NEP 2020. So, being a teacher in a college, what are you going to do? How do you cope up with the situation? How do you manage? You are a teacher in the commerce department. So what are you going to do next? To exist as a teacher. What are the things demanded from you? You have to start thinking about that. It is high time you thought like that. Okay. Right. Then PhD program, undertaking PhD shall require either a master's degree or a 4-year bachelor's degree with research. All fresh PhD entrants will be required to take credit-based course in teaching, education, pedagogy, writing related to the chosen PhD. These are all things now existing. Okay. Then exposure to pedagogical practices, designing curriculum, credible evaluation systems, communication and so on will be ensured. PhD students will also have a minimum number of hours of actual teaching experience gathered through teaching assistantships and other means. That's a good idea. If you are, that practice exists in some universities. If you are a full-time research PhD scholar, you are asked to teach the students for MSc. Some teaching assignments also will be there. Okay. So that is formally introduced here. Credit transfer and academic bank of credits. What is that? Credit transfer, that is what I exactly said before. ABC or academic bank of credits would digitally store the academic credits earned from various recognized higher education institutions so that the degrees from the HEI can be awarded taking into account credits earned. So you studied in SKCMS and you got, say, some credits. You can take that credit home and you can go to some other institution, say for example Marielius College. Then you study there and getting some credits. And after that, when you accrue the required credit, you will be given the degree. So credit transfer. This credit transfer is very much there in the US, the Western countries. Students are coming to India and doing some work here, they will get credits. But our universities do not permit to get credits from elsewhere. MG University or I don't know, other universities, they don't promote getting credits. There are twinning programs. There are some twinning programs. We do one course here and we go abroad and do the course there in some university and we bring that credit. And some university, they won't recognize that credit. But other universities abroad, they are recognizing it. In UC College, a lot of twinning programs are being conducted. Teaching in vernacular, research and innovation, academic, that is said. Integration of vocational and professional education. Vocational and professional education. Now, the vocational component has been brought into the curriculum at the early stage. At the age of 8 or in the class 6. At the class 6, all students have to do some vocational course. Some vocational skill he has to get. Evaluation system also is addressed here. Evaluation, assessment and evaluation. Curriculum and pedagogy will be designed by institutions and motivated faculty to ensure a stimulated and engaging learning experience for all students, and continuous formative assessment will be used to further the goals of each program. Summative assessment is the assessment that we do at the end of the program, right? That's right. Whereas formative assessment means every day we are doing it, right? Piece-wise, bit-wise assessment. Every day we are making some assessment. I ask a question, he is not answering it, then I will think about me whether I was okay. Did I explain it properly? That type of assessment. That is formative assessment, continuous formative assessment. Okay, then academic plan. Online education, open distance learning is given more emphasis in NEP 2020. Why? Because they want that 100% literacy should be there in higher education. And the present set of institutions, number of institutions will not be sufficient for catering to the needs of all students. 50% of the students are coming for higher education, unlike the past. Earlier it was only 26%, but now after this, 50% of the students will be expected to take higher education. So we have to create lot of colleges, universities and such advanced standards. So that is not possible, so online is the best method. Okay. Support for students. Faculty support. Next is institutional. The academic is over, now institutional reforms. Earlier in the morning it was mentioned, 3 types of higher education institutions or universities. Research intensive institutions, more research and less teaching. Number 2, teaching intensive institution, more teaching and less research. And third, autonomous degree granting colleges. So our colleges are going to be closed down. We have to become either an autonomous college or a research intensive college or teaching intensive college. Only one among these 3 categories. Which one you aspire? You dream about your institution. Which type of institution that I should dream about my institution? Okay. That's why I always recommend to my colleagues to do research. Without doing research, we can't exist in the coming days, coming years. Therefore, as Sir pointed out in the early morning, always try to pursue your research and complete at the earliest, so that you will not be missed out. Otherwise, you will miss the train. Okay. Governance, the new addition. So these are the new things going to happen in reality. The first one is NRF, National Research Foundation. So now we want to do any research, we have to get approved from various agencies. It's a Herculean task, running from one table to another table, one office to another office. It's a very difficult situation. But you can directly approach NRF. NRF means National Research Foundation. Then number 2, internationalization of education. 3, standalone higher education institutions and professional institutions to evolve into multidisciplinary institutions. That's a welcome move. Say for example, you take the case of IITs. IITs are, in IIT mainly the technical programs are offered, right? Engineering programs are offered. But from tomorrow onwards, our IITs will be giving courses on music, courses on film, courses on drama, courses on Kathakali, etc. Performing arts, like that. So no institution is standalone institution offering one set of programs. We have to offer multidisciplinary programs. Special education zone for disadvantaged region. There are certain regions in India where special attention is required. So such regions will be identified. The National Education Technology Forum, a fee cap will be provided for private education institutions for higher learning. Suppose your college is charging higher fees, it won't be allowed, it won't be permitted. There will be a fee cap. Now, you might have noticed that what is MHRD, the Ministry of Human Resource and Development, that has been abolished. There is no MHRD now. Instead of MHRD, what is the ministry? The name of the new ministry? Ministry of Education. Earlier it was like that. It was changed to MHRD, but now it is again made as Ministry of Education. Use of technology. All these things are very common that we are expecting this these are all being practiced. Okay, this is all about NEP 2020. What's the time now? 2:45 only. So at 3 we will stop, right? Okay. So let us have a recap. What has been said so far. The NEP 2020 in a nutshell. Okay. School education. First section, school education. All these things were explained. Just read 5+3+3+4 structure. Flexibility to choose subject across streams. Commerce streams, science streams, biology streams, not like that. You can choose subjects across streams. Then board exams for grade 10 and 12 will continue. Just as of now, board exam for 12 and 10 will continue. But school exams will be for class 3, class 5 and class 8. All other classes there won't be any exam. Okay? Bagless days. There is no heavy bag. Bagless days are ahead. 10 days in a year will be dedicated to vocational courses of choice from grade 6 onwards. 6ാം ക്ലാസ് മുതൽ ഒരു വർഷം 10 മണിക്കൂർ വൊക്കേഷണൽ ഇൻറ്റേൺഷിപ്പ് ചെയ്യണം. അത് വർക്ക്ഷോപ്പിൽ നിൽക്കുന്നതാണോ, റബ്ബർ വെട്ടാൻ പോകുന്നതാണോ, അതെയോ കുക്കിംഗ് ആണോ, സ്റ്റിച്ചിങ് ആണോ, അങ്ങനെയുള്ള വൊക്കേഷണൽ കാര്യങ്ങൾ ചെയ്യും. നല്ലതാണത്. മൈ son, one of the twin sons, he did his BTech in NIT Jalandhar. and he used to get once month semester break after every semester. And after the first semester break, during the first semester break, he was sent to a workshop, bike workshop at KURUPPUMPADY. കൂപ്പടിയിലൊരു വർക്ക്ഷോപ്പിൽ പോയി എല്ലാ ദിവസവും കാലത്തൊരു വരെ വർക്ക്ഷോപ്പിൽ ബൈക്ക് നന്നാക്കാൻ പോകാനായിട്ടാണ് അവനെ ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞ് ഏൽപ്പിച്ചത്. മേ ബി ഐ എം നോട്ട് എ എഡ്യൂക്കേറ്റഡ് പേരൻറ്റ്, ബട്ട് ഹീ സെയ്സ് ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് ദ മോസ്റ്റ് പ്രഷ്യസ് ടൈം ഇൻ ഹീസ് ലൈഫ്. അവനിപ്പോൾ അതുകൊണ്ടാണ് ഏറ്റവും പ്രയോജനം. പുള്ളിയുടെ ബൈക്കൊക്കെ പുള്ളി എല്ലാം നന്നാക്കും. എൻ്റെ ബൈക്ക് നന്നാക്കും. ബൈക്ക് നന്നാക്കാനായിട്ട് പുള്ളി തരക്കേടില്ല. BSc പഠിച്ചു കഴിഞ്ഞപ്പോൾ ഒരു രണ്ടാഴ്ച ടൈപ്പ് റൈറ്റിംഗ് ഷോർട്ട് ഹാൻഡ് ഇല്ല, ടൈപ്പ് റൈറ്റിംഗ് പഠിക്കാൻ പോയി ഞാൻ. അത്യാവശ്യം ടൈപ്പ് ചെയ്യാനായിട്ട് ഈ ഫിംഗറിൻ്റെ പൊസിഷനൊക്കെ മനസ്സിലായി. ബട്ട് ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് മൈ മേജർ സ്ട്രെങ്ത് നൗ. സോ ദിസ് ടൈപ്പ് ഓഫ് ഇൻറ്റേൺസ് വിൽ ബി ഡെഫിനറ്റ്ലി ഹെൽപ്പിംഗ് യു ഇൻ യുവർ ഡേയ്സ് അഹെഡ്. ഓക്കെ, പല പല ഗുണങ്ങളാണുള്ളത്. ഒന്ന്, ജോലിയോടുള്ള ആറ്റിറ്റ്യൂഡ് മാറും. ഏത് ജോലിയും റെപ്യൂട്ടേഷൻ ഉള്ളതാണ്, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അഭിമാനിക്കാവുന്നതാണ് എന്നുള്ള ആ രീതി മാറും. അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഇത് ഇങ്ങേറ്റം എന്താ പറയുക, തയ്ക്കാൻ പോകണം അത്രയൊക്കെ വലിയ എലീറ്റ് ജോലിയാണല്ലേ. പക്ഷേ ഈ വർക്ക്ഷോപ്പിലൊക്കെ പോകുന്ന പറയുമ്പോൾ ഒരു നാണക്കേട് പോലെ തോന്നും. പക്ഷെ അത് നാണക്കേടല്ല, നല്ലതാണെന്ന് അറിയാനായിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു കൾച്ചർ ഉണ്ടാക്കാൻ നല്ലതാണ്. ഓക്കെ, ദെൻ മദർ ടങ് ടു ബി മീഡിയം ഓഫ് ഇൻസ്ട്രക്ഷൻ ടിൽ 5th grade. ഐ ടോൾഡ് യു. Report cards will include self-assessment by students in addition to existing teachers' evaluation sheet. PARAK, Performance Assessment, Review and Analysis of Knowledge for Holistic Development. ഈ കുട്ടിയുടെ കയ്യിലൊരു കാർഡ് ഉണ്ടാവും, ആധാർ കാർഡ് പോലെ ഒരു കാർഡ് ഉണ്ടാവും. ഈ കാർഡ് ഈ കുട്ടി കൊണ്ടു നടക്കും. ക്രെഡിറ്റ് അതിനകത്ത് കിട്ടിയെങ്കിൽ ആ ക്രെഡിറ്റ് ആഡ് ചെയ്യും. ഈ കുട്ടിയുടെ ഇതുപോലുള്ള അസസ്മെൻ്റ് എല്ലാം അതിനകത്ത് ലിസ്റ്റ്. ഇപ്പം നമുക്കറിയാമല്ലോ, ആധാർ കാർഡിന് അതായിട്ട് എല്ലാ കാര്യങ്ങളും അറിയാമല്ലോ, ബാങ്ക് ട്രാൻസാക്ഷൻ മുതൽ എല്ലാം നമ്മുടെ അതുപോലെയുള്ള ഒരു കാർഡ് ഉണ്ടാവും. ആൻഡ് ഗ്രോസ് എൻറോൾമെൻറ്റ് റേഷ്യോ 100% ബൈ 2030. ബൈ 2030 എല്ലാ കുട്ടികളും, ഈ ഇന്ത്യയിലുള്ള എല്ലാ കുട്ടികളും എൻറോൾഡ് ആയിരിക്കും. ആൻഡ് ദാറ്റ് ദേ വിൽ കണ്ടിന്യൂ ദെയർ സ്കൂളിംഗ് ടിൽ 18 years of old. ഇതൊക്കെയാണ് സ്വപ്നം കാണുന്നത്. നൗ മേജർ ചേഞ്ചസ് ഇൻ ഹയർ എഡ്യൂക്കേഷൻ. നൗ വി കം ബാക്ക് ടു ചേഞ്ചസ് ഇൻ ഹയർ എഡ്യൂക്കേഷൻ. സ്കൂളിൽ കാര്യം പറഞ്ഞേ, ഇതൊക്കെ നമ്മൾ പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഇതൊരു റീകാപ്പിംഗ് ആണ്. 50% ഗ്രോസ് എൻറോൾമെൻറ്റ് റേഷ്യോ അച്ചീവ്ഡ് ബൈ 2035. പ്രപ്പോസൽ ടു സെറ്റ് അപ്പ് ഹയർ എഡ്യൂക്കേഷൻ കമ്മീഷൻ. ദാറ്റ്സ് എ വെരി ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻറ്റ് ഐഡിയ. ദർ വിൽ ബി എ appellate body in India looking after education. Proposal to set up Higher Education Commission of India. A national testing agency to conduct common entrance exam for colleges twice a year. ഒരു നാഷണൽ ടെസ്റ്റിംഗ് ഏജൻസി ഉണ്ടാവും. ഇപ്പോൾ നമ്മുടെ എൻട്രൻസ് ഒക്കെ ഇല്ലേ, നീറ്റൊക്കെ പോലത്തെ ഒരു ഒറ്റ ഏജൻസി ഉണ്ടാവുള്ളൂ. കോളേജ് അഡ്മിഷൻസിനെല്ലാം ഇന്ത്യയിൽ വർഷത്തിൽ 2 പ്രാവശ്യം നടത്തും അത്. Then mid-term dropouts will be given credits and option to complete their degree after a break. Credit transfers and academic bank of credits. Dropout can use credits for transferring from one university to another. Affiliation with universities are to end, and over the next 15 years the deemed university status is to end as well. Affiliated system nikkan povana. MPhil program nikkan povana. Deemed to be university statusum nikkan povana. Fee cap over private institutions for higher education. ഇപ്പോൾ വലിയ ചാർജൊക്കെ ഇപ്പോൾ ഓരോ കോഴ്സിനൊക്കെ ലക്ഷങ്ങൾ ചാർജ് ചെയ്യുന്ന കോളേജുകളുണ്ട്. ഇപ്പോൾ MBAക്കൊക്കെ ആണെങ്കിൽ ഇവിടെ അടുത്ത് തന്നെ ചില കോളേജുകളിലൊക്കെ 6 ലക്ഷം 7 ലക്ഷമൊക്കെയാണ് ചാർജ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. അതൊന്നും നടക്കില്ല ഇനി. ഓക്കെ, ഗ്രാജുവേറ്റ് പ്രോഗ്രാംസ് ഫോർ 4 years, PG പ്രോഗ്രാംസ് ഫോർ 1 or 2 years. 3 types of institution പറഞ്ഞു. A national mission for mentoring will be established with a pool of senior and retired faculty. ജനറൽ ആയിട്ടുള്ള മാറ്റങ്ങളാണ് ഇത്. സ്കൂൾ കഴിഞ്ഞു, ഹയർ എഡ്യൂക്കേഷൻ കഴിഞ്ഞു, ജനറൽ ആയിട്ടുള്ള മാറ്റങ്ങൾ റീക്യാപ്പ് ചെയ്യാണ്. റീനെയിമിംഗ് ദ മിനിസ്ട്രി ഓഫ് MHRD ടു മിനിസ്ട്രി ഓഫ് എഡ്യൂക്കേഷൻ. ദ RTE is extended to cover a large group from 3 to 18, currently 6 to 14. നമ്മൾ പറഞ്ഞല്ലോ, ഈ റൈറ്റ് ടു എഡ്യൂക്കേഷൻ്റെ ആ റൈറ്റ്, ഫണ്ടമെൻ്റൽ റൈറ്റ് envisaged in the constitution was earlier from 6 to 14, but that is now expanded to 3 to 18. So that's a very good welcome sign. Funding from 4% to 6% of GDP. അതായത് ഇങ്ങനെയൊക്കെ ചെയ്യണമെങ്കിൽ ഈ അംഗൻവാടീസിനൊക്കെ equip ചെയ്യണമെങ്കിൽ there is lot of fund required. Earlier the fund spent on these type of things was only 4% of the GDP, gross domestic product, and here it is 6%. It is envisaged as 6%. That means 25 lakhs crore per year. 25 lakhs crore per year will be spent on this. And UGC AICT to be replaced by a single higher education regulatory body. 4 verticals of HECI to be the National Higher Education Regulatory Council, HNERC, National Accreditation Council, so our NAC will come under that. National Accreditation Council, Higher Education Grants Council, and the General Education Council, which would further form National Higher Education Qualification Framework. Impetus to multidisciplinary education. Even IITs to move towards more holistic curriculum with arts and humanities. NRF would be set up with a goal to enable a culture of research. National Research Foundation. Major challenges. So these are the major challenges that we foresee in the implementation. Curriculum content. NEP 2020 calls for curriculum and pedagogical changes. Lot of effort has to be put in there. Teacher availability. Over 24 crore plus students in India by 2030. 70 lakhs plus teachers are required. So you have enough scope. 70 lakhs of teachers are required. So if you want to become if you want to continue as a teacher, there is enough scope. But equip yourself by PhD, with a PhD. Teacher skilling, technology at scale, digital infrastructure, digital classrooms, remote expertise driven teaching models, virtual reality tools, evaluation infrastructure, need to create large pool of trained teachers, reducing emphasis on English. That's the main drawback being said nowadays by experts. Because India is famous for giving good English education, unlike China. So the software companies and all, software companies are all prefer Indians. Why? Because their communication skill is good, better than China. And we are not very particular about our own mother tongue and all. We are somewhat good in English. So that is going to disappear, because the children till the age of 5 will be learning everything in the vernacular. Abolishing the exam system altogether. ആദ്യം സന്തോഷം എല്ലാവർക്കും 3ലും 5ലും 8ലും മാത്രമേ പരീക്ഷ ഉള്ളൂ. ബാക്കിയുള്ളത് പരീക്ഷ ഇല്ലാതെ അടിച്ചു പൊളിച്ചവർ നടക്കും. പരീക്ഷ ആവശ്യമാണെന്ന് വിശ്വസിക്കുന്നവരുണ്ട്. സോ പരീക്ഷ ഇല്ല എന്നുള്ളതൊരു ചലഞ്ചാണ്. The time frame of implementation is considered to be 10 years, which will not be sufficient as our existing practice. നമുക്കറിയാം ഇന്ത്യ രാജ്യത്ത് ഒരു കാര്യം ഇംപ്ലിമെൻ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ അത്ര എളുപ്പമൊന്നുമല്ല. Lot of political pressures are there, lot of unexpected things are there, catastrophes are there, uncertainties are there. So amidst all these things, we have to implement it, and after the implementation phase, that will take 2-3 years to settle down. Lot of problems will be there. The problem should be addressed and rectified. So for that, 3-4 years will be there required. But I think this is a very good move from the central government. After 34 years of gap, we are now having a new education policy that has to be embraced as much as possible. Conclusion. Education is a passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. So if you want to prepare for it today, then you will get the passport for future. Okay? And the second quote is little bit painful for me. Most sufferings comes from the failure to adapt and a resistance to change. ഈ ചേഞ്ച് വരുമ്പോൾ നമ്മളത് അഡാപ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യാനായിട്ട് ചെറിയൊരു വൈമുഖ്യം ഉണ്ടാവും എപ്പോഴും. എല്ലാ വേദനകളുടെയും കാരണം അതാണ്. The more you adapt to the changes, the better. Okay. Now the next 10 minutes is for discussion. You have to ask some queries so that I can also learn more. And those who are about to dash will be made awake. Okay. So come on, I expect questions from you, queries from you.